guys, Angus here. Got another Airsoft review for you today. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Elite Force M4 CQB Airsoft AEG. This gun is sold through Umarex, OEM by Aries, and if you're interested in purchasing it, there is a link down below in the description to airsoftStation.com where you can buy this gun for about $200. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this review. Now when you first get the gun, this is the box it will come in. As you can see, it's rather flashly, stating the words Elite Force in rather large, bright gold letters. There are also a couple specs on the box as well, however, other than that, really nothing special about it. It's just a cardboard box. When you remove the box top, this is what you should see. Inside the box, you have your Elite Force M4 owner's manual. This is a pretty simplistic, short, concise manual. Mainly focuses on the M4A1 carbine version of this gun, however, basically the same thing for both of them. Then you'll have a warranty registration card, a bright yellow card detailing that you should not return this product to the store. You should return it directly to Umarex USA. Another small card just basically telling you to check out Elite Force on Facebook. Not one, but two 300-round high-capacity M4 style magazines, a tan quick-release vertical grip, a crappy small-type wall charger, an 8.4-volt, 1200 milliamp small-type nunchuck battery, a cleaning and dejamming rod, and of course your Elite Force M4 CQB Airsoft AEG itself. Now when I first took this thing out of the box, thought it felt rather nice, a lot of that due to the gun's externals. So we're going to go ahead and hop right into the review here, go ahead and talk about the gun's external quality and external build. Now starting at the front of the AEG, you get a plastic, orange, birdcage style M4 flash hider. If you were to unscrew this and remove it, you reveal standard 14mm counterclockwise threading there. You can put a suppressor or another flash hider on, whatever you want to do. Your outer barrel assembly as well as your front triangle sight, these are constructed of metal. Also constructed of metal is your front sling mount and RAS handguard. Also the screws holding the gun together and the handguard on, those are metal as well. The actual body of your gun, upper and lower receiver, those are composed of a nylon fiber plastic component, as is your pistol grip. Magazine is also plastic. Your flip-up rear sight, this is composed of metal, as is the charging handle right behind it. Buffer tube of the crane stock is metal, and your actual crane stock is that nylon fiber component again. Now, a couple things I want to say about the externals. I know some people might be turned off by the whole plastic body thing, but actually, in my opinion, plastic body is a bit of a pro on a gun, especially when it's a gun that's designed for CQB, as we see here. Number one, the plastic body makes the gun lighter. This gun weighs in around 5 pounds, which is rather light for an Airsoft AEG, most of mine weighing around 10 at least. And what the lightness of the gun does is A, make it more comfortable for you to hold, and also make it more maneuverable, which you want in CQB. You want a lighter gun. It's going to be able to move a lot quicker around corners, be able to shift, pull it in real quick if you don't want to take a gun hit. It's a lot easier to maneuver than those heavier, clunky metal guns. So the nylon fiber on here, it's rather solid, it's rather durable, and it makes the gun a lot lighter as opposed to metal. Really, externally, everything's held on here rather tightly. Nothing really wobbles around. It's a pretty solid gun externally. Internally as well, as we know, it's OEM by Aries. You're going to probably expect some good internals there. We have a version 2 metal gearbox, of course a steel gears metal gearbox, pretty standard with most of your higher end AEGs. And one thing that's nice about this gun is that it does have the quick spring change on the gearbox. You don't have to completely take apart the gearbox in order to change your spring. And the back of the gearbox, you can go ahead and just change your spring out real easy. If you wanted to change your FPS, maybe make it a little bit lower than it already is, or perhaps make it higher if you wanted to actually use this in a woodland setting as opposed to CQB, which it is designed for. Alright, so now that we've covered the external and internal build of the Elite Force M4 CQB, let's go ahead and talk about another rather important feature, which is your gun's battery compartment. Now, like a lot of other CQB AEGs, your battery is stored inside your crane stock. In order to access your battery compartment, you want to pop off the rubber butt pad, and you'll reveal your standard butt plate on the crane stock. And the difference with this butt plate is that it's actually screwed in using a Phillips head screw. This really just adds a little bit of security that it's not going to fall off really any chance at all during a game. And if you wanted to remove it, you simply take a Phillips head screwdriver and unscrew it. A little bit of a pain considering you have to do that in the middle of a game as opposed to where you would just pinch the teeth on some other crane stocks to remove the butt plate. But anyway, once you unscrew it, you can simply squeeze the teeth in down below and your butt plate will pop off. Now once your butt plate is removed, you're going to reveal your wires and small type connector inside the crane stock. And the way the crane stocks are set up to hold your batteries is that the middle tube contains your wiring and small type connector, and your outer lying side tubes are what holds the actual cells of the nunchuck batteries. Now, battery space on crane stocks, including this AEG, it's decent. It can hold 8.4 volts and 9.6 volt batteries of the nunchuck style on its own. However, at the same time, you're limited to these nunchuck style batteries. You're limited to those butterfly style batteries, and occasionally the occasional stick battery as well. So there's really not a lot of variation in the different battery types you can use. But the included 8.4 volt nunchuck fits in there snug. Slides right in. It's a decent battery the gun comes with. Not the best. I found it wasn't producing a great rate of fire, but the FPS was rather solid on the gun. Once your battery is in, you would simply slide out your crane stock like so. Make sure your wires are tucked in, and at that point begin replacing your butt plate and butt pad. Battery space on this gun is decent, however it is limited to those nunchuck style batteries. Now that we've covered this gun's battery compartment, let's go ahead and talk about some of the gun's other features. Now, of course, quite a few of your main features are located on the left side of your gun's receiver. That includes the fire selector switch and also the magazine, which we're going to go ahead and include in this segment. Now, your fire selector switch is your standard M4 style selector switch. This little dial, got your safe setting up front, up top will be semi-automatic, and all the way back will be full auto. Now, as you're probably noticing, this fire selector switch is extremely loose. As you can see, it's just wiggling pretty much everywhere. I really don't even have to push that hard, and it just slides and slips around. So perhaps it needs a bit of tightening, but on this model, the fire selector switch is extremely loose. So just something for you to watch out for if you're considering buying this gun. Now, magazine on this gun is ejected via the ejection button located on the right side of the AEG. When the magazine is ejected, this is your mag. Now, it's a standard M4 high-capacity magazine, holds 300 rounds, works just like a standard high cap. Fill the reservoir through the top, wind the gear at the bottom, and the BBs will feed through the top. Now, I found these mags a little bit hard to wind. I believe you have to tighten them a little bit more as the gear is barely exposed down below, and also the main con of them is that they're rather cheap. They are made of plastic, but it's not the same quality plastic your gun's made of, and also definitely not the same quality plastic as the plastic some of the mag mid-caps are made of, even the King Arms mid-caps. These are rather cheap, lighter, less thick plastic, and I'd be afraid of these breaking if I were to drop it perhaps onto a harder CQB style floor, but really that's the only thing I can think about to complain about them. Didn't have any feeding issues, it's just they feel rather cheap. So just be on the lookout for these mags, especially considering you're probably going to buy spare mags. You may want to get some other ones besides these cheaper plastic ones to replace them. When you want to put the magazine back in, simply raise up the AEG, place the magazine in like so, and it will lock into place. There really isn't any wobble in the gun's magazine well. Now, moving a little bit farther back on the gun is of course a major characteristic of this AEG, that being your gun's crane stock. Now, these crane stocks are fairly common on all your CQB guns because frankly they're rather nice to have on there. It's much nicer to have a collapsible stock as opposed to a fixed stock in CQB because should the opportunity arise where you need to shoot around corners, it's much easier to shoot around a corner using a shortened stock as opposed to the long fixed stock. Now, the crane stock works rather simply. Simply push in this piece down below in order to shorten or extend the crane stock. Now, moving slightly forward on the AEG, you've got a couple other major features, one of which being your gun's RAS covered handguard. Now, the handguard, being that it's covered in RAS, is a huge pro in this AEG in my book, being that it allows you to customize your gun, and customization is always a pro in my opinion because it allows you to do what you want to your AEG as opposed to being stuck with just a standard M4 handguard there. Bottom rail, being this is a CQB AEG, maybe a nice grenade launcher on there. Of course, if you wanted to keep it light, the included vertical grip will work just fine. Two side rails, you go ahead and mount a flashlight or laser on there. And up top, you have a rather long 20mm rail. You can go ahead and mount really any optic on there that you wanted to. Of course, if you didn't want to use an optic, you do have some iron sights on here. Front iron sight is your standard triangle sight with the sight post. Really nothing special. Rear sight is a flip up, flip down, as you see here, flip up. Rear sight that is adjustable for windage and elevation. It is also removable if you wanted to remove it from the gun. And really, those are your iron sights. They're decent. They're your iron sights, really nothing special. But more importantly, you do have a room up here for really any optic you wanted to put on there. And that's great because customization on this gun is in abundance and definitely a pro of this AEG. Now, one last feature before we head to the final conclusion of this review would be your gun's hop-up unit. In order to access your hop-up, simply pull back the charging handle, and as you can see, your hop-up gear will be revealed. Found this hop-up to be decent. One note I will say is that the hop-up gear here, as opposed to some of the other AEGs where they have all the tiny teeth, easy to get your nail in and turn, this one has rather flat, dull teeth kind of spread far apart, so it's a little hard to turn the hop-up up and down, but once you break it in, you're able to get your finger in there, you know how to do it. It's rather easy to do. So hop-up unit was decent on this gun, just a little flat when it comes to the teeth. Alright, so we got through all the features of the Elite Force M4 CQB. Now let's go ahead and get into the final conclusion of this review. My opinion, the Elite Force M4 CQB is a decent AEG for anyone looking to purchase a gun within the $200 price range, more so geared towards CQB, of course, because definitely if you're going for field, you may want to try the M4A1 version of this gun. Now, externally, we get a rather solid build. Major pro here is that it's light. It's light and maneuverable, easy to move around corners with. That's a nice pro as opposed to having a bulky, clunky metal gun going to be using in CQB. It's nicer to have that lighter nylon fiber body. And also, it's a durable body, don't forget that. It's not a cheap plastic. This is going to stand some abuse for a while. Internally, you got a nice quick spring change access. Rather nice to have that in there. Makes changing the spring a lot easier than taking apart your whole gearbox just to go ahead and raise your FPS or lower your FPS. Battery space, it's decent. Allows you to hold 8.4 volt, 9.6 volt nunchuck batteries. However, it is limited to the nunchuck butterfly style batteries. No real variation in the style of batteries you can use. Features-wise, crane stock's a rather nice pro. It's nice to have a crane stock on a CQB AEG. Allows you to shorten, lengthen it depending on what the situation of your game is. Out in the courtyard one moment, need a longer stock. In a hallway the next moment, need a shorter stock. You can do it with a crane stock. Cons of this AEG really come down to the left side of the receiver, which one thing I did fail to mention during the actual review is that this gun does have some nice Elite Force trades on the left side of the gun. Those are rather nice. They appear to be painted on rather well. Is your fire selector switch and your magazine. Now the fire selector switch, this just actually started to happen to me now during the review, but rather loose, wiggles all around. I gotta see if I can tighten it or something, but it's really loose and it feels like it's about to pop off in any second, so be wary of that. And also, the magazines, I thought they fed fine. There's really no wobble when it's in the mag well, but they are plastic and they feel rather cheap. So you may want to get some replacement mags. Not saying these wouldn't work. I'd just be worried they might break after a while of use. Perhaps I drop it accidentally, might crack. Just be careful of that. The plastic on them definitely feels cheap. RAS handguard. Great feature, customization, always a plus. You can go ahead and do whatever you want to this gun. Set it up real nice. Grenade launcher, put the included vertical grip on there, whatever you want to do. And your iron sights, they're decent, but of course you have the top rail to go ahead and mount whatever optic you want. Maybe a nice low profile red dot for those CQB games. One last pro I figured I'd mention is what this gun comes with. It comes with a battery, a charger, 2 magazines, and that vertical grip. That's quite a lot of stuff included here with a quality gun for about $200. So this is a decent CQB M4. Interested in purchasing it? There's a link down below in the description to airsoftStation.com. You can buy it for about $200. So thanks for watching, guys. This has been Deathcore Airsoft's review of the Elite Force M4 CQB, Airsoft AEG, and Dark Earth. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.